Although it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good, and I say God bless it!
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 most expensive animated movies.
We must do something before they fandango themselves into oblivion!
He likes you.
Imagine that, Ramsay. Even with your stinky face.
You got the makings of greatness in you. But you gotta take the helm and chart your own course.
Studios spend big money making animated films, and for this list, we'll be looking at the ones that cost them the most from concept to completion. Which ones do you think were worth the money? Tell us in the comments. Number 10. A Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol is an animated film based on the famous tale by Charles Dickens.
Come in and know me better, man.
Directed by Robert Zemeckis, it uses the same motion capture technique that he had previously used in his films The Polar Express and Beowulf. While the budgets were roughly $165 and $150 million for those films respectively, he raised the stakes with A Christmas Carol and spent $175 million to bring this classic tale to the big screen.
Merry Christmas. What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money?
And although the film brought in $325 million at the box office, it was still considered a relative disappointment considering the large budget.
There are many things from which I have derived good and have not profited.
Number 9. WALL-E. If the cost of animated movies was directly related to the amount of dialogue in the film, then WALL-E would certainly not have found a place on this list.
Directive. Classified.
However, while light on dialogue, the film is heavy on heart, soul, some amazing animation, and people sitting on floating chairs.
Make a play, scream.
No, it doesn't sound
Look, I'm tired of
it.
And it all came at a cost of $180 million, which Disney Pixar made back easily and then some when the movie grossed over $520 million worldwide.
Define dancing.
Dancing, a series of movements involving two partners where speed and rhythm match harmoniously with music.
It also won an Oscar and was even hailed by some as one of the best films of the decade. Number 8. Brave. You have to be brave to spend $185 million to make a movie, especially one that doesn't have superheroes and isn't based on a comic book. But that's exactly what Disney and Pixar did back in 2012 with the film Brave.
No lessons, no expectations. A day where anything can happen. A day I can change my fate.
The film featured Pixar's first princess, was the Hopping Lamp Studios' first major film with a female protagonist, as well as their first feature-length film co-directed by a woman.
I am Merida, firstborn descendant of Clan Dumbrog, and I'll be shooting for my own hand.
And it thankfully all paid off for the studio, financially as well as creatively, bringing in an Oscar for Best Animated Film and over $540 million around the world.
Our fate lives within us. You only have to be brave enough to see it.
Number 7. Finding Dory. In 2004, Finding Nemo cost $94 million to make and grossed over $940 million at the worldwide box office. Given those numbers, we weren't surprised that Disney found more money 13 years later when they set out to make Finding Dory. In fact, they found over $100 million more, for a total budget of $200 million when all was said and done.
Well, seems like a lot of trouble just to find some more fish. If I had short-term memory loss, I'd just swim off into the blue and forget everything.
And what did they get for that $200 million? They got a 94% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a global haul of over $1 billion, becoming only the second Pixar film to cross the billion-dollar barrier after Toy Story 3 did it 6 years prior.
Do you know what this means, honey?
It means you can do whatever you put your mind to, Dory.
Number 6. Monsters University. Post-secondary education is expensive.
You don't need to study scaring, you just do it.
Really? I think there's a little more to it than that.
Disney and Pixar spent $200 million sending Mike Wazowski and James P. Sully Sullivan to Monsters University. That sure does sound like a scary number. And it is indeed almost double what they'd spent on Monsters, Inc. 12 years prior.
This could destroy the company.
The company? Who cares about the company? What about us?
But thankfully, for all considered, the filmmakers didn't leave university with the kind of debt that most people do. The studios actually walked away from their time at Monster School with hundreds of millions of dollars in their pockets, since the film did over $740 million of business around the world.
We're not gonna lose, because we have everything we need to win right here.
Number 5. Incredibles 2. While $200 million might sound like an incredible amount of money to spend on a movie, when it comes to superhero films, that number is actually super reasonable.
I've got to succeed, so she can succeed, so we can succeed.
I get it, Bob. I get it.
Go back to 2007 and it cost over $250 million to make Spider-Man 3. Or check out the over $350 million that was spent on Avengers Endgame in 2019. Disney shelled out around $92 million on The Incredibles in 2004, and it was a major success, grossing over $600 million.
No matter how many times you save the world, it always manages to get back in jeopardy again.
Incredibles 2, with its $200 million budget, more than doubled that of the original, but also doubled up the profits, grossing more than $1.2 billion worldwide.
And who knows what the future may bring, but I have a good feeling about all of you.
Number 4. Cars 2. They've made 3 Cars movies so far, and each one has cost the studio over $100 million to bring to the big screen.
I don't get them dents buffed, pulled, filled, or painted by nobody. They ain't way too valuable.
Your dents are valuable.
However, while the first one at $120 million and the third at $175 million were expensive, it was the second film in the series that emptied Disney's pockets the most, with a budget of $200 million.
Francesco likes this, McQueen. It's really getting him into the zone.
He's so getting beat today.
But while Lightning McQueen and the gang were expensive cars to get off the assembly line, they brought in lots more money than they took out of the Disney coffers. The 3 films raked in over $1.2 billion, with Cars 2 doing the most business with over $562 million at the box office.
Poor Doc would have been real proud of you, that's for sure.
Number 3. Toy Story 3. In 1995, the first Toy Story movie was the first entirely computer-animated feature film, and was made for only about $30 million.
To infinity and beyond!
15 years later, Toy Story 3 cost a whopping $200 million.
It's the perfect time to be hysterical.
Should we be hysterical?
Now, yes.
Maybe, but not right now.
So what did $200 million get? It became the first animated film to surpass $1 billion at the box office, becoming the highest-grossing film of 2010, as well as the third animated film to ever be nominated for a Best Picture Academy Award. That certainly sounds like money well spent.
You have everything!
Everything except someone to share it with.
9 years later, it was another $200 million on Toy Story 4, and that one also made over $1 billion. Big risk, big reward. Number 2. The Lion King. If you thought $200 million was a lot of money to spend on an animated movie, what do you think about the huge budget Disney spent to make the 2019 version of The Lion King?
Repeat after me, kid. Hakuna Matata.
While the first film, released in 1994, was made using traditional animation and cost $45 million, the 2019 version was made using photorealistic computer animation and cost $260 million.
We shall welcome the dawning of a new era. A great and glorious future.
Although that number has it tied with the next film on our list for the highest budget ever for an animated film, the movie went on to gross over $1.6 billion, making it the highest-grossing animated film of all time. That's certainly more for The Roar.
You must remember who you are, the one true king.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Ralph Breaks the Internet. It cost $175 million, but Ralph broke the internet and the bank.
What?
Dollars? Dollars like money?
Yes.
Inside Out. Might have felt fear spending $175 million, but turned out all joy.
It's not made out of solid gold like we thought, which is kind of a disappointment, but still.
Up. A budget of $175 million buys a lot of balloons.
So long, boys! I'll send you a postcard from Paradise Falls.
Monsters vs. Aliens. This epic animated battle took $175 million to bring to the big screen.
Wow! You're doing great!
I'm doing everything!
Not for long. Come on, you guys. Let's take this thing down.
Coco. Cost $175 million and was the first 9-figure movie to feature all Latino main cast.
This isn't a dream then. You're all really out there.
You thought we weren't?
Well, I don't know. I thought it might have been one of those made-up things that adults tell kids, like vitamins.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Tangled. In general, we don't think the cost to make an animated movie is directly related to the length of the protagonist's hair, but in this case, it could be somewhat accurate.
That's a lot of hair.
She's growing it out.
The star of Tangled is, of course, the uber long-haired Princess Rapunzel. But her long locks were probably not the reason for the film's mega budget at $260 million.
So, what do you want with my hair? To cut it?
What?
Sell it?
No! Listen, the only thing I want to do with your hair is to get out of it. Literally.
The movie was in production for 6 years and was created with multiple animation techniques, combining computer and traditional animation, as well as non-photorealistic rendering to make it all look amazing. Although this one didn't join the billion-dollar club, it was yet another Disney success, with the film grossing over $590 million worldwide.
On an island that I own, tending, rested, and alone, surrounded by enormous piles of money.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.